It only takes one sentence to flip your whole sense of safety upside down. One moment where you realize the place you thought you were protected might not actually protect you at all. And for me, that sentence was, "We're looking for you and we don't need your permission." Yeah, that happened. I was standing in an ICU, hands still warm from adjusting IV lines, alarms, humming like background noise. You stop noticing after a while, and suddenly my name wasn't just my name anymore. It was a target, and I remember thinking, this can't be real. This has to be some kind of mistake, because I did everything right. You know what I mean? I came to this country as a kid, grew up here, went to school here, busted my ass through nursing school, worked nights, weekends, holidays, paid taxes, voted, became a citizen, the whole checklist. And yet there I was, frozen in a hospital hallway while federal agents asked for me like I was some fugitive hiding behind ventilators and monitors. The shift had started like any other, just controlled chaos. 12 critically ill patients, families pacing hallways, nurses moving fast but quiet, because in the ICU, every sound matters, every second matters. And I was in my element, doing what I've done for years, caring for people at their worst, adjusting meds, talking to a sedated patient, because I believe people can still hear you even when they can't respond. When my charge nurse Evelyn slipped into the room and said, low and steady, "Don't react. But there are immigration agents outside asking for you by name," and I swear my heart dropped straight into my stomach. I didn't understand. I couldn't understand. Because fear doesn't care about logic. Fear doesn't care about paperwork or certificates locked in a drawer at home. Fear just shows up and takes over, and all I could think was, why me, why now, why here in the middle of my patients who needed me? Evelyn looked me dead in the eye and said, "Finish what you're doing. No one is touching you. Not today." And I believed her, because that's the kind of leader she is, the kind who doesn't flinch when things get uncomfortable. When I stepped out of that room, I saw them, 3 agents in tactical vests, arms crossed, scanning the unit like they were sizing it up. And something in me knew this wasn't going to be a polite conversation. One of them pointed at me and said, "That's him." And before I could even open my mouth, Evelyn stepped in front of me, physically put herself between me and them, and said, "You are not speaking to my staff without proper authorization." And the agent laughed, actually laughed, and said, "We're federal officers, we don't need your permission." And Evelyn didn't raise her voice, didn't puff her chest. She just said, "Actually, you do. This is a hospital. We have patients, we have laws, and we have protocols." You could feel the tension spike, like the air itself got heavier. And when they tried to move around her, something incredible happened without anyone saying a word. The other nurses moved in one by one until there were 8 of them standing shoulder to shoulder, a quiet wall of scrubs and determination. And I was standing behind them, shaking, watching people I'd worked alongside for years literally put their bodies between me and men with badges. One of the agents snapped that we were obstructing federal officers, and Evelyn said, calm as ever, "We're protecting our colleague and our patients." There's a difference, and you know what? That moment still gives me chills, because it wasn't loud or dramatic. It was just solid, unwavering, like they'd all silently agreed this line would not be crossed. Security cameras were recording everything, every word, every movement, and the agents called for backup while our attending physician called hospital legal. And I stood there thinking, is this how it ends? Is this where my career, my life gets derailed? Because someone typed my name into a database and stopped thinking. When hospital administration finally arrived, it was over fast. The attorney looked at the paperwork, shook his head, and said, "You don't have the authority you think you have. You leave now," and the agents left. But not before one of them turned back and said, "This isn't over," and it felt like a threat, plain and simple. That night, I didn't sleep. Not really, because even when your body is exhausted, your mind doesn't let go of that kind of fear. And 2 days later, we found out the truth, and honestly, it made me angrier than the confrontation itself. Same name, different person, different birthday, different life, but no one bothered to check, no one bothered to verify. They just showed up, ready to grab whoever fit the profile. And yeah, I fit the profile, brown-skinned, foreign-sounding name. And suddenly all those years of doing everything right felt fragile, like they could be erased by someone else's laziness. I filed a lawsuit. Not because I wanted money, but because I couldn't let it slide, because if it happened to me, a citizen with paperwork and a stable job, it could happen to anyone. And during the trial, they played the footage over and over. The nurses standing firm, the agents growing more frustrated, My own testimony about the panic attacks, about walking into work afterward and wondering if today was the day they'd come back, about feeling unsafe in the place I dedicated my life to. And the jury saw it. They really saw it. And when the verdict came back, $14 million, violations of constitutional rights, negligent enforcement, emotional distress, it wasn't just about me anymore. It was a message. The agents were fired. Policies changed. Hospitals were designated protected spaces, and life in some ways went back to normal, but not really, because once you've seen how thin that line is, you don't forget it. I still work in the same ICU, same coworkers, same machines humming in the background, and there's a plaque now behind the nurses' station that says we protect our own. And every time I see it, I think about that day, about how close it all came to going very differently, and about the people who chose to stand up when it would have been easier to step aside. So here's what I want to know from you. Honestly, no filters, no rehearsed answers. If that were your workplace, your coworker, your moment, would you stand up or would you look away? And if you've seen something like this happen or lived it yourself, share it in the comments, because these stories don't end with verdicts. They end with choices. And those choices matter more than we like to admit.